The material you sent over this week it really got me thinking. All these different angles on why we do the things we do, these unspoken rules that just seem to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So for this deep dive, I thought we could pull on that thread, explore how, understanding and maybe questioning these social norms can actually change how we see things.
Absolutely. It's fascinating, isn't it? Just how powerful these ingrained expectations and traditions are. They shape our perceptions, our actions, often completely under the radar.
Like the air we breathe almost.
Exactly. You barely notice it's there.
Right. And a key piece you shared, it comes from this PDS, Hello and Welcome to Speak English in No More 8. It seems to keep coming back to this theme, breaking social norms.
Yeah, that's a strong thread throughout.
Which is interesting, linking language learning with looking beyond societal rules. So yeah, our mission here is to really dig into the core ideas about challenging these norms. Give everyone listening a sort of faster track to grasping why it all matters.
And what jumps out right away in the material is this compelling case for why. Why is questioning even important? It's not just about, being difficult.
No, exactly. Well, sources really stress that it takes actual critical thinking.
Right.
And creativity. And just being willing to look beyond the surface, that's just how it is.
Mm-hmm. That moment of asking, wait, is this the only way? Or even the best way?
Yeah. And it connects that questioning directly to some really, really valuable outcomes. The material says, by challenging norms, we actually grow greater understanding, more empathy.
And inclusivity. It promotes a wider view.
Which makes total sense when you stop and think.
Yeah.
If we just accept everything as it is, without asking, who benefits, who gets left out?
We risk locking in inequalities.
Definitely. The source even uses that really clear example, traditional gender roles, how limiting they can be, how they fuel inequality. You still see those deep ideas about what's men's work or women's work, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. They're pervasive. And it's from that foundation, understanding why it matters, that the sources naturally move to the next question. How? How do we actually start questioning these things?
Okay, yeah, let's unpack the how-to. The material mentions raising awareness, getting these norms out in the open.
Promoting critical thinking.
Right, that questioning bit again. And encouraging open-mindedness. Sounds, straightforward on paper, but how does that look day to day?
Well, the sources really highlight education and awareness as key drivers. It's about shining a light on these often invisible rules so we can actually see them, examine them properly.
Good.
Think about how our understanding of mental health has shifted. Those open conversations have really challenged the old norms of just, staying quiet, toughing it out.
That's a great example. And it's not just about huge societal shifts, is it? The source talks about our power as individuals, too, stepping outside the lines.
Totally. Individual agency is key. The material suggests a few things you need. First, real self-awareness, knowing what you actually value, separate from the crowd.
Right.
Second, confidence, having the courage to maybe take a different path. And third, being willing to take some risks, because let's face it, questioning norms isn't always comfortable.
No, it often isn't, but it doesn't have to mean constant fighting either. I like the advice about starting by questioning our own stuff first, our assumptions, biases, that internal check-in.
Precisely. That's often the starting point.
And then actively looking for different perspectives, different experiences, just to broaden our view beyond our own little bubble.
Yes, that conscious effort to seek out contrasting views is incredibly powerful for dismantling our own preconceived ideas. And the source really emphasizes prioritizing your individuality, your autonomy in all this.
Okay. Now, something else the material brings up, which feels really relevant today, is the role of tech. Social media, it really presents it as a kind of double-edged sword with social norms.
That's a very good way to put it, a double-edged sword. On one hand, the sources acknowledge these amazing opportunities technology gives us for connection, for self-expression.
Yeah, finding your tribe online, maybe.
Exactly. Giving a voice to people who might have been marginalized before, forming new communities outside the old structures.
But then there's the other edge.
Yeah.
The potential to actually reinforce conformity, even strengthen existing power dynamics. You see how fast trends spread online.
Oh, definitely. And how dissenting voices can just get drowned out.
Right.
And the way many platforms work, the algorithms, they tend to show us more of what we already like or agree with.
The echo chamber effect.
Precisely. So instead of challenging our thinking, they can end up just reinforcing it. The source is quite clear. We need to be really mindful of these dynamics. Use tech intentionally, responsibly.
Okay, so you've got the why question norms, some how-tos, the tech angle. Now, the sources really dive into some specific areas, starting with challenging gender roles.
Yeah, and what's striking here is how direct the source material is. It says challenging gender roles requires a critical examination, actively looking at societal expectations, the stereotypes.
And asking those hard questions.
Right, like, do these still work? Who benefits? Who's held back?
And the goal, the source says, is more understanding, empathy,
Yeah.
inclusivity, real equity. It's not just abstract talk. It's about people's actual lives and chances.
And it gives some common examples to think about, like the idea that men have to be strong, stoic, hide emotions.
While women are supposed to be nurturing,
Yeah,
emotional.
Stereotypes we absorb from, like day one.
Yeah. And the key point seems to be, by challenging these rigid boxes, we allow for more flexibility, more inclusivity. People can just be themselves, follow their interests, without these old scripts holding them back.
Then shifting gears a bit to cultural expectations, the source points out their dual nature. They give us that vital sense of community, belonging, identity.
Which is so important.
Absolutely crucial. But that belonging can sometimes clash with individual freedom, can it? The source notes they can become restrictive, exclusionary if they don't evolve.
So it's a balancing act.
A very delicate one, and the source suggests practical ways to navigate it. Being aware of your own biases when you encounter different cultures.
Checking yourself first.
Right. And actively seeking out diverse perspectives, staying open to new experiences, new ways of doing things.
That openness theme keeps coming back. Moving beyond snap judgments, appreciating difference. The source links this directly to fostering understanding and empathy between diverse groups.
Exactly. And finally, the sources tackle the really big ones. Social class and economic inequality. It frames them not just as money issues, but deeply tied to social norms about status, about opportunity.
And the goal there seems clear. Fostering understanding, empathy across those divides, working towards a more equitable society where your starting point doesn't just, determine your whole life.
Definitely. The source outlines strategies like promoting education and awareness about inequalities realities,
Getting the facts out there.
supporting policies aimed at helping marginalized communities, and encouraging individual activism. It's presented as needing effort on multiple levels.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, thinking directly about the listener, the material has some really solid final advice for anyone who wants to challenge these norms, make a positive difference.
Yeah, and the core of it seems to be cultivate open-mindedness, that
Right.
willingness to really hear new ideas, embrace curiosity, actively trying to understand different viewpoints.
Even uncomfortable ones.
Especially then sometimes, and being willing to take considered risks, stepping out of the comfort zone to advocate for change.
Because ultimately, as the source kind of sums up, by questioning these norms, promoting positive change, we can collectively build a society that's more just, more equitable.
One that truly values empathy, understanding, inclusivity
Right.
for everyone. So, just to recap our deep dive, we've looked at why questioning social norms is so vital for progress and inclusion. We've touched on practical ways to do that critical thinking, the tricky role of technology. And then we zoomed in on specific areas: gender, culture, and social class.
Okay. So here's a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day, maybe later today or tomorrow, pick just one social norm you notice. Something maybe you haven't really thought about before. Could be anything. Now, with all this in mind, what's one assumption sitting behind that norm that you might start to question? Just one.
Yeah, because it's often that first question, isn't it? That little spark of curiosity. That's what can lead to bigger insights and ultimately help us all create a more thoughtful and hopefully a more equitable world.